Section 61 of Songs of Love and Life by Zora Cross. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Caveat. The Vision of Jehovah.
What shall it profit if the nations rise, read from the sepulchres of hell distraught, lifting with sodden souls their bleeding eyes, stung with the vengeance of the sword they sought? What shall it profit these or other men, faltering, Father, to the cosmic sky, since this thy vow, vengeance is mine, amen? O Lord Jehovah, hear us, hear our cry. There rolled away the boltings from the door, and Lord Jehovah, very God of all, looked down upon the dumb earth's threshing floor, marking how death wove savagely her pall, and seasoned labour loosed a thick desire, sat midst the ruins of her territory, while hope, her firstborn with young lips afire, plucked at her withered breasts in agony. Behold, upon the right hand of the Lord, the shuddering Christ with sin-remembering eyes, seeing like pallid moths the phantom horde of Christian martyrs and crusaders rise, pierced with the peril of impassioned prayer. How in the red arena did they crowd, or on the holy place he died to spare, broidered with bloody thread their battle shroud. Left of the Lord, in tent ambrosial, Mohammed trembled at his peaceful shrine, even as Abdallah at that festival, when stooping o'er his fragrant bridal wine, one whispered of the virgin multitude, dead for the love of him so falsely fair, shivered and sought in pious interlude to drown forgetfulness in honest prayer. As in the blinding mid-light of the world, when out of chaos swung the scent of day, and from the loins of God the ocean swirled, he with what charity breathed o'er the clay, flame of his thought and passion of his mind, as in that hour when first he viewed his work, mute-eyed and grave he sorrowed for mankind, so now he anguished still, and all was murk. Murk where ambition in her muddied gown, robbed of her thaindom, begged for common arms. Murk where the swollen rivers glided down, art hid the festered shreds of her torn palms. Murk where in terror truth fled swift apart, seeing upon the floor where honour shone, greed with her blood-stained talons in her heart, plucking the soul of things to feast thereon. Then spake Jehovah in a voice of woe, and all the heavens vibrated with the sound. Adam, is this thy seed that grows so low, wrought in our image, rotting in the ground? Answered the prophets in a sad accord, Yea, till the heavens vanish like a scroll. Yea, till the wild beast heard unfearing, Lord. Yea, till the camel without pangs shall foal. Wrath was Jehovah at the spoken word, wrath as when Lucifer forever fell, weakening the nations as he fought and erred, venting his fury at the gates of hell. But through the depthless chasms of the air broke like a wail the voice of many men, and on the hills of heaven summoned there stood the archangel Gabriel again. Pity was his left wing, comfort his right, and at his back the hosts of heaven swarmed, looked to the reeling earth through veins of light, bowed to Jehovah, to his ire conformed, saw how he raised his living arms to smite nation on nation all the wide earth through, where o'er his wrath he heard that cry contrite, Father, forgive, they know not what they do. Jehovah stayed his mighty arm and wept, and lo, a vision followed, and he saw how from the golden west Olympus crept. By Zeus, the mind-made god, ruled as before. How sprang Yggdrasil on the filmy right, while Odin to Valhalla heroes led. Last gleamed Westminster Abbey in the night, where men held sacred service for their dead. Like to an opal sunset when romance weaves her bright tapestry about the sea, and in each colour of the wide expanse flutters a leaf of ocean's history, battles and sunken galleys of renown, treasure of buccaneers and Viking horde, all in one rainbow radiance scattered down, so shone Olympus to the holy Lord. Banquet was spread upon the godly board, the festival of Aphrodite dawned, green as a burning emerald was the sward, where at the feet of Zeus the muses fawned, drinking from bowls of pearl the nectar sweet, while cherubs fanned them with a palm of gold. Rose-bellied nymphs rolled in the budding wheat, satyrs about the clustering vines made bold. Then came the full-limbed goddess of the foam, led by Apollo through the lanes of light. Doves at her breathing flocked, and roses clomb over her footprints in the flame of flight. Fell all about the mellowed fruit of joy, as she the feastings honoured there above, till reeling Bacchus with his lips a-cloy sipped the slow wine drops from her breasts of love. The Lord Jehovah veiled his eyes with fire, but turned to rightward where Valhalla rose, turquoise the massive doors, the steps sapphire, the burnished floor 10,000 cameos, and to the gate of beryl boulder came, robed like the sun in saffron of the morn, seeing across the rainbow bridge of fame how into Asgard came the souls new-born. As bold Don Roderick at the strange tower stared, wondering how in Toledo magic wrought, spires of such stateliness, and scarcely dared plash his brave stirrups there, but fearing naught, entered and found that which he long had sought, so stared each hero in a fixed amaze, as at Valhalla's halls his battle fought, entered he in to rest eternal days. Torn with the tempest of tremendous woe, Jehovah in the travail of his tears spake, as when in the foremorn long ago dropped from his lips the language of the spheres. O Adam, Adam, was thy mind so base? What could it profit that I gave my son? But answered Westminster through Jesu's grace, hallowed be thy name, thy will be done. The vision changed as watched the hosts on high, Valhalla and Olympus passed away, and in their places lo, men fought to die, caught in the reeking stench of rotting clay, matted their fragrant locks with smoking gore, horse, man, and priest shrieking in unity, hot from the steaming lust leap of red war, staining the portals of eternity. How o'er their mangled skulls the night dew fell, how through their dying limbs they prayed in vain, prayers that their clotted lips would never tell, sealed by the bleeding surcingle of pain, and as decay, life's swollen parasite, followed the harlot death from feast to feast, nowhere in all the ghastly world was light, save where Westminster glimmered in the east. There as the crimson-breasted battle jade wallowed in agony among the brave, mothers and sweethearts in the abbey prayed, kneeling in memory of the men they gave. Lighten our darkness, we beseech thee, Lord. Snatches of service floated thus to God, mingling with clinking echo of a sword, shocked in the tumult of a broken squad. And at the abbey door Cupidity, measuring her faith by wealth's divining rod, bent low to mock, but hearing suddenly, abate their pride, assuage their malice, God, turned from the holy place and fled afeared into war's arms where she will never die, but mouthed the thighs of hate with gall besmeared, and sucked the stinging lips of envy dry. Silenced with muffled breath late slept afield, drawing her nets of thought about her bed, glutted with blood war dropped his gory shield, nor sound nor sigh escaped the myriad dead, when from the abbey came the groan of men, the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God be with us evermore, amen. Jehovah moaned and closed the doors above. What shall it profit then if nations fall? What merit, since we may not understand? For dawn came roguishly at time's faint call, looking with sleep-sweet eyes upon the land, and saw amidst the horror and the woe a Teuton and a Briton lying there, wound in each other's lifeless arms, and lo, facing each other in their dead despair. The lilting wind was rippling through their hair, the splashing sunlight dancing on their sleeves. A robin sniffed the blossom of the air, and sang to them of spring and rustling leaves. The dawn unrobed, and it was day again. There came no mourners to the solemn dead. The floating clouds brake into gentle rain. The silent skies unmoved swam overhead.
End of section 61. Section 62, Songs of Love and Life by Zora Cross. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Caveat. The New Moon. What have you got in your knapsack fair, white moon, bright moon, pearling the air, spinning your bobbins and fabrics free, fleet moon, sweet moon, into the sea, turquoise and beryl and rings of gold, clear moon, dear moon, ne'er to be sold, roses and lilies, romance and love, still moon, chill moon, swinging above, slender your feet as a white bird's throat, high moon, shy moon, drifting your boat into the murk of the world awhile, slim moon, dim moon, adding a smile. Tender your eyes as a maiden's kiss, fine moon, wine moon, no one knows this. Under the spell of your witchery, dream moon, cream moon, first he kissed me. End of section 62.
Section 63 from Songs of Love and Life by Zora Cross. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Elise D. The Poppy. The muffled bells of sleep tolled drowsily as down the dim cathedral of the day. The scented censer of your life you sway, and all its sweetness scatter over me. Here, where I lie and watch the loveless bee wed flower with flower and go his singing way, the loose white winds amongst your petals play, whispering of Tempe and of Arcady. Dust breaks the bowl of day with soundless chink, and, as its liquid jewels foam to flame, a rainbow ripple stains the sapphire sea. So, when death dreams upon your ruby brink, the fallen petals from your fragile frame color the waters of eternity. End of section 63. Section 64 from Songs of Love and Life by Zora Cross. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Elise D. Books. Oh, bury me in books when I am dead, fair quarto leaves of ivory and gold, and silk octavos bound in brown and red, that tales of love and chivalry unfold. Heap me in volumes of fine vellum wrought, creamed with the close content of silent speech. Wrap me in sapphire tapestries of thought, from some old epic out of common reach. I would my shroud were verse embroidered too, your verse for preference, in starry stitch, and powdered o'er with rhymes that poets woo, breathing dream lyrics in moon measures rich. Night holds me with a horror of the grave that knows not poetry, nor song, nor you, nor leaves of love that down the ages wave, romance and fire in burnished cloths of blue. Oh, bury me in books, and I'll not mind the cold, slow worms that coil round my head, since my lone soul may turn the page and find the lines you wrote to me when I am dead. End of section 64. Section 65 from Songs of Love and Life by Zora Cross. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Elise D. When I was 6. When I was only 6 years old, hi-ho for folly-o, I wandered in a fairy fold, hi-holly to and fro. I rode upon a blossom's back, up hill and over sea, and all the little pixie pack for fun would follow me. Oh, golden was the gown I wore of buttercups and air, and 20 diamond stars or more were pinned upon my hair. All day I chased the laughing sky above the busy town, but when the moon unwinked her eye, ho-ho, I hurried down. And then within the baby's shoe I hid my lady's pearls, from maid to merry maid I flew and knotted all their curls. I pulled the preacher's saintly gown and lost his open page. I tickled out the withered frown of every sallow sage. And when the children were abed, I tapped the window pane and laughed as someone softly said, "Whist, goblins there again." Ho-ho, I flitted here and there amid my elfin band, while on the green in frolic fair we tripped it hand in hand. As air in moonlight I was free within that fairy fold, for all the world belonged to me when I was 6 years old. End of section 65. Section 66 from Songs of Love and Life by Zora Cross. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Elise D. My Muse. My muse is a minx with a spell for a smile. She gallops a wagon of whims through the skies, and teasings capricious and pranks all the while she pours upon me who would sing to her eyes. She coaxes me on like a siren at play, then leaves me alone with a shadow to doze. As faithless as Venus, she flits with the fae, or marries her moods to the rim of a rose. I went to her house and I opened the door to peep at the exquisite corridors there, and thousands of dreams that were strewing the floor cried, "Constancy only can win the most fair." And so on her lily-white doorstep I wait, or wander away with my lover in glee. Now faithful, now fickle, I toy with my fate. for I am a maiden as wilful as she. End of section 66.
Section 67 of Songs of Love and Life by Zora Cross. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Caveat. Seascape. Slowly into the purple cup of night dusk pours the amber wine of daily prayer, and, as its fragrance scents these pools of light, the opal sea buds blossom everywhere. Soon from her palms of fire the young moon shakes, pale rainbow jewels on the wet brown sand, while some chaste nymph her bath of sea foam takes, where jade and green the round waves plunge to land. Then drowsy night her storied mantle lifts, as some red star-dirk slits the velvet fold, which, falling where the sea-maid lowly drifts, lights her slim corpse in eddies of pure gold. End of section 67. Section 68. Songs of Love and Life by Zora Cross. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Caveat. The Perfect Rhyme. Oh, to have lived in Sicily with you, and sweet Theocritus, when song was young, and every happy flower the morning swung was ripe with melody of odorous dew. There, beneath the boughs, you might have sung full true, with those rare voices grassy Etna flung down to a sea that lapped with lyric tongue. A singing shore enamoured of its blue, O love, I dream, our married glances meet, our mouths make idylls all the gloaming through. Here o'er our heads the breathing blossoms twine, and couplets cluster at our naked feet. Nor ever poet since the first pipe blew dreamed such a rhyme as your lips make on mine. End of section 68.
Section 69 from Songs of Love and Life by Zora Cross. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Elise D. Memory. Late, late last night, when the whole world slept, along to the garden of dreams I crept, and I pulled the bell of an old, old house where the moon dipped down like a little white mouse. I tapped the door and I tossed my head. "Are you in, little girl? Are you in?" I said. And while I waited and shook with cold, through the door tripped me, just 8 years old. I looked so sweet with my pigtails down, tied up with a ribbon of dusky brown, with a dimpled chin full of childish charms, and my old black dolly asleep in my arms. I sat me down when I saw myself, and I told little tales of a moonland elf. I laughed and sang as I used to do when the world was ruled by Little Boy Blue. Then up I danced with a toss and a twirl, and said, "Now, have you been a good, good girl? Have you had much spanking since you were me? And does it feel fine to be 23? I kissed me then, and I said farewell, for I've earned more spanks than I dared to tell, and 8 must never see 23 as she peeps through the door of memory. End of section 69. Section 70 from Songs of Love and Life by Zora Cross. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Elise D. The Fairies' Fair. Who's that dancing on the moonlit air, heel-toe tapping, toe-heel rapping? Oberon opening the Fairies' Fair to jig away sorrow on the grave of care. Come along, old folk, cold folk, bold folk. Drop your shears at the midnight stroke. Elves are crying, who'll come buying jugs of joy from a fairy's cloak? Mob is sitting on a silver shoe, bright eyes laughing, light lips quaffing, airy bubbles from a cup of dew. Her bracelets tinkle with delights for you. Come along, tall folk, small folk, all folk. Race the stream where the fat frogs croak. Buy a bobbin, there goes Robin, tying time to a daisy's yoke. What's for sale at the Fairies' Fair? Tiny trumpets, nuts and crumpets, gossamer gowns that the spiders wear, and wee red ribbons from the poppy's hair. Come, buy a moonbeam, slender, tender, posset pans or a witch's spur, pixie packets, goblin jackets, stifling age in their elfin fur. All you pay is a dream or two, fancies reeling, toe and heeling, Purchase the pleasures that the fairies woo, for none want money as the gray folk do. Come for the wee wear, free wear, glee wear, holiday smiles in your loosened hair. Take your fiddle, trip the middle, buy back youth at the fairies' fair. End of section 70.
Section 71, Songs of Love and Life by Zora Cross. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Caveat. Pain. 1. Alice, I called, for she was moaning there, across the ward, and in her trembling hands she hid her little face of woe. I called. She would not heed. Her sobbing wrung my heart, and so I rose and groped across the floor, and lifted from her tear-wet face her sad and silken hair, and tried to comfort her. She murmured, "Go away." But from the sheets I drew her hand reluctant into mine, and bathed it with my tears as hot they fell. "Did you love him?" I said. "Talk if you can." She muffled up her mouth and said no word, but her hand warmed in mine, and through its skin I felt her young blood cry in memory. I kissed her cheek, and blindly sought my bed. 2. Mother of God! The pangs again! Put out my life, stop up my cries with death. I would be quiet, I would be so still, repentant, humble, if— Ah, God, the pangs! There is a table in the surgery. I saw it when I passed, and near a nurse, cool-handed, meek of mouth, she looked at me with tender pity. Oh God, I fear if I should die, and this small life I wronged be left still wronged, to live a loveless life, unmothered and unfathered too. Oh God, put out 2 lives. I must scream, Christ forgive. I can hear footsteps in the ward, lights gleam. They're coming. I will lie upon the bed where Alice died today. She left her child, a dimpled boy with hazel eyes like hers. Nearer they come. What's happening in the world? Where's he who said he loved me? Oh, my God, where's my mother and my— Not a friend. How cold it is. My lips bleed agony. They're here. They help me up and bear me through the desolate long room. My own nails in my palms, despised, deserted, on my cross I crawl. Scream now unafeared, they say. I scream and scream. 3. Black monsters, large of limb and horrible, in shape crowded the room. Some crawled about the ceiling, and some sat upon my feet. Heavy with horror, both my hands were huge, monstrous of palm. My head was big as worlds, and down my back sharp knives cut flesh and bone. I was alone in a wild misery, and like a mournful bird my dead child wailed above the dark delirium again. Again its fingers clutched my milkless breasts, and its small feet ran madly through my heart. Its little fists beat at my brain for life. Oh, how it cried! I could not ease its pain, or go to it. Chill weights pressed on my brow. 4. I cannot weep. No one has come to me. I sit upon a chair and watch the sun. My hands are white like wax. My feet are cold, though it is summer and the garden glows. Alice's boy is crowing in his cot. I wonder if she knows. I wonder where he is who loved her. If he thinks or cares. The boy has not the mouth that Alice had. My child is all alone, like me, and cold, under the ground. Do they put babies deep? She was so tiny. All the earth, I think, would be too kind to crush her little head. I never saw her face, like him or me. She will never ever know but God. She cried, but I forget. Her little foot against my thigh felt cold. Her hands, they said, were blue. I never meant to do her any harm. She may have hungered, or I had to work. I should have slept for her sake those long nights of waking agony. I did not know. Alice's boy is laughing at the nurse. She brings him down to me. The doctor calls. She drops him in my lap. How small, how sweet. I smile. I kiss his little hands and weep. End of section 71.
Section 72, from Songs of Love and Life by Zora Cross. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Elise D. April Laughter. April is blowing her bubbles of blue o'er coverts of daisies all dappled with dew, and wily wind elves, as they pelt her with play, sing hi, hilly ho, it's a very fine day. So ho for the maiden with lily love laden, who's decking herself in a dimity gown with touches of pearl on her orange wreath crown that cuddles her tresses of wallflower brown. The cream's in the cup and the candies are cut in tiny pink piles in the honeymoon hut, where time has a tub of caresses to drink and every white minute a chuckle to clink. And ho for the lover she soon will discover, when noon, nodding over her goblet of sun, wakes up with a wink at the sound of the fun, to drown in the dusk ere the frolic be done. Oh, I am the maiden and you are the boy. Our wedding bells ring in the attic of joy, where youth takes a kiss 'neath a lattice of love, from beauty and innocence meek as a dove. Then ho for the laughter that rings to the rafter, as over the ridge of our kisses we ride, and, tingling with mirth of the oncoming tide, we slip into Eden to sleep side by side. End of section 72.
Section 73 of Songs of Love and Life by Zora Cross. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Caveat. The Poet's Garden. When in the long lagoons of slumber sink the tired flocks of men surrounding me, on naked feet I walk the lilac brink of my own memory. And, in an alley of the hanging air, dim blossoms of a garden softly swing, love lyrics, happy odes, and sonnets fair, through my imagining. I lean my cheek upon the garden rail, tasting the fragrance of that company, who through the ferny aisles and angles trail white immortality. Odorous daisies from far milky meads waft o'er my wall the innocence of truth, and from a pool asway with rhyming reeds I breathe eternal youth. Oh, haply in some velvet noon of night a glimmering hand flowerful will soft unclose, and, slipping through the silence filmy light, drop on my heart a rose. End of section 73.
Section 74 from Songs of Love and Life by Zora Cross. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Elise D. The Rainbow. Down in the garden the rainbow is spinning little loose bobbins of beryl and blue. Creamy white fairies their curls are unpinning, shaking pink pinafores woven of dew. Hurry up, little girls, hurry up, little boys, and catch the big bow with its lapful of toys, where Puck and his pixies are clinging and flinging pale pearly white bells from their fingers and toes, their round little toes, and when the breeze blows, it's only the children who hear the bells swinging, high ringing and singing, as all the world knows. Get out your bucket and put on your bonnet, quick, or the little blue bobbins will go. Dig up the gold with the roses upon it, hiding in heaps at the end of the bow. Hurry up, little girls, hurry up, little boys, you'll miss the bow bending with junkets of joys, where Mob and her maidens are tripping and dipping on tiny green slippers like slim little girls, like rosy white girls, all ribbons and curls, that over the lavender beaches are skipping, are flipping and tipping, all bubbles and pearls. End of section 74.
Section 75, Songs of Love and Life by Zora Cross. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Caveat. Fortune. Dame Fortune's a jade with a fanciful horn, of silver ambitions she warms into flame, with pearls for the princes and tears night and morn for poor little poets who fluttered for fame, who smile when she sings as she dances along. Come, woo me with courage and delicate song. I followed her once, but she wearied me soon. All careless was I of her roseate quest. I built a dream house where the stars were in tune, and slipped into silence and exquisite rest. But she, like her sex when her passion seemed cold, ran hither and offered me all of her gold. I went to the door, and I looked at her ware, of agate and amber and cool chrysolite. I shook my wise head with a holiday air, and paid her good day in a daring delight. For I am a fool, and my fortune is made. I care not a fig for a crown or a spade. I dwell with the elves 'neath the odorous sky. The dews of the dawn brush my gables with glee, and moonlights and sunlights and lovers pass by, all humming this song as they peep upon me. Hi ho for the fool who can pity all pelf, and finds in his bliss that his fortune's himself. End of section 75.